Recorded live on the North Coast, Scotty Does a Show with guest Joe Howard. Plus news, today's top 5 and more. And now, never meant for mass production, Scott Marion.
All right, what's up, everybody? What's happening? What it is? What's going down? What's the word on the street? Welcome to the show where we keep our ears to the ground and our fingers on the pulse of what's happening in today's society. You can call me, I'm your host. You can call me Coach. You can call me Scott. You can call me Coach Scott. No reason to call me sir unless, of course, you owe me money. Mr. Marion, if you're nasty. All right, so again, real quick, I want to thank Coach Von Jerska for coming in on the show the other day. The outlet that I have here to be able to have just some incredible guests on is just awesome for me. And he's a hell of a coach, and most importantly, he's a hell of a man. And his results show that. Again, when you're in a combat sport or you're into something that's going to be that physically tough, there's really no need to be a jerk off the mat or off the competitive area. And one thing that really shows about Coach Von Jerska is that guy really cares about his program, cares about his kids. And again, the results show that. So I want to thank you for coming in with that. And again, it's really just awesome to be able to see programs like that because, you know, growing up in Lorain County, Keystone was, quite frankly, we never really considered them a real threat. So to see them having the success that they have is awesome. So best of luck to you guys. And of course, keep an eye out for the duel in the school when Brunswick comes to town. We're gonna have a lot of fun with that. Which reminds me that bringing up everybody up on some news, the art piece that I'm gonna create, the downtown of Cleveland, drawn at night, it's already starting to come together. I'm already getting some of the materials and things I need for that. I didn't really share too much, but I'm going to be using a bit of a new technique. I'm excited and of course nervous because doing something new like that, it's always going to be a bit of a touch and go, a bit of an experiment, kind of like what I'm doing here. But in the end, the end product, the end result is what's going to matter the most. The challenge I feel I'm going to have on this piece is when I'm going to be able to stop working on it. Like Da Vinci said, no piece of art is ever finished, it's only abandoned. And I have several pieces, even here in the Scott Cave, that I look at them, hey, I could add this to it. But the difference is, on a piece like this, I'm working with a bit of a time frame because the goal is to have it ready by the end of August. Now, if that doesn't happen, we can always keep it going. But it's, again, it's exciting for me, and I'll keep everybody posted on when the gallery show is going to be for that. So again, and I'll be teasing a little bit of some progression stuff on that piece as it's growing here on YouTube, and again, pretty soon to social media, and I've got websites and things are going to be. The whole digital area, the whole digital realm is something that's really new for me as an artist, even hell as a DJ. I'm still the guy that wants to play vinyl records, but it's the technology to be able to embrace it. It's just amazing. The fact that I can have somebody sit in here and talk for an hour or two and then share it with the whole world in less than a couple days is amazing for me, and especially when I'm doing this all by myself. But anyway, if there's anybody out there that's interested in a producing gig, give me a shot. So one thing I did mention, or I forgot in my last show, Coach Chris mentioned even in the intro, was that I was going to do a couple quick movie reviews. I'm just going to sum it up real quick. Kong versus Godzilla. If you're not able to watch it on a screen that's big, yeah, for what it was worth. There's a couple scenes that were a lot of fun. Other than that, I prefer the 60s version. I really do. For me, it's just a lot more fun, and I feel like there's a lot more almost creativity that goes into it. There's some amazing CGI that out there, but CGI, some of the best that I've seen are in video games. So, I mean, again, it was really cool as a kid growing up watching the 60s version, and I still watch that. For me, it's just a lot more fun. But if you have a chance to watch on the big screen, enjoy it. And the last movie I want to review real quick is Zack Snyder's Justice League. If you don't know the story behind that movie, when in 2016 he was making the Justice League movie, and he had his daughter decided to take his own life, Zack Snyder, or she decided to take her own life. So he pulled himself away from the project, of course, to take care of that. And then Joss Whedon from the Avengers fame jumped in to finish that movie, and it really was. It's an example of when you add another artist to a piece of art, it's very rare that it's going to get better. Now, when you have an ensemble cast, that can change, but when you have a single person's vision of telling a story, and then that person is gone, it's going to affect the outcome. And the original version of that movie it's bad. So what happened with that is Zack was pulled away, and then there was a huge online fury for a number of years of release the Snyder version, because there were a lot of stories about things that he was doing on that they didn't follow up with. And long story short, after a lot of persistence and a little bit of money, they reinvested, and Zack was able to finish his vision and tell the story. And I'll just put it this way, as a comic book guy, as a sci-fi guy, whatever you want to call me, it's the best superhero movie I've ever seen. And it was just a great example. I recommend, if you haven't seen the original version or the new one, watch the original theatrical version, and then watch the Zack Snyder. If you're into comic books, it's a dramatic difference, and the story for me is what that's all about. Just when you have an artist, a creator, somebody gets the opportunity to finish their vision, finish their creation, that's what you get. So you get a movie that's subpar, and then when the artist gets to actually finish their vision, you get, again, in my opinion, I can belittle very little things on the Zack Snyder version. It was awesome, and it actually makes me a little sad it seems like that they're not going to be continuing Zack Snyder into that universe. But again, you get a chance to see Kong Godzilla on a big screen. It's a lot of fun. Definitely take it tongue in cheek, and then enjoy the 1962 version, I believe. I think you may enjoy that one a little bit better, like I did. And if you're into comic book movies, and if you have not seen, check out the HBO Max. I believe that's the only way you can see it now, the Zack Snyder Justice League. So that gets everybody caught up in those movie reviews. Again, sorry, I missed that even on the last show. All right, so the opportunity to have this venue is been in a short time really unique and special. Again, having some people that I've known almost my entire life to come on the show and share their stories and share their experiences, all incredibly unique and different. It's a blessing for me. And which brings me to the guests I have on today. I haven't sat down and really been face to face with Joe 25 years. Been a long time. And for anybody out there that knew me when I was growing up, especially between the ages of about 11 and 17, right around that time, Joe and I were inseparable. We were we did what we could to force ourselves to be sitting next to each other on the bus in school, waiting on lines for things for lunch, you name it. It was always a very easy relationship. But the thing that introduced me to him was baseball. That's really how I met the guy. We were playing Little League baseball together. And for those of you that aren't really familiar, the town of Wellington that we grew up in is a pretty small town, but we were west of the town, out even into the more of the country area. We were there were literally cornfields in our backyard. So this is as country as it gets. So baseball is a big deal where we grow up. And you again, getting into the combat sports and stuff that I'm into now, you see a lot of young kids too, but when we grew up, it was everywhere we went. you brought your glove, you brought your ball, you brought the bat if you had one, or you brought the broken one that wasn't that broken so you could use it. That's just the way that we rolled. And in a very short period of time, Joe and I developed a really successful relationship on the ball field. He was a shortstop, I was first base. For anybody that understands baseball, I mean, how many outs are done with that? And when you run the double play, when he's going to have to take he's going to come in and take over at second base, and there were and again, what I'm getting at is, you never really know how you're gonna or predict how you're gonna meet somebody. And we met under baseball, and we had a lot of success on that team. We were young. And then as the years progressed, this was between like fifth grade up to right around junior high, some of the other guys that were in the league, they ended up going to the traveling league, and Joe and I stuck around in the league around town. And the cool thing is we ended up being a couple of the older guys in the league. And my reason for not wanting to travel is I just didn't want to travel, and usually I was doing wrestling camps and stuff over the summer too, but we ended up being a couple of the older guys in the league, and we were on the same team, and ended up just smashing people by the last couple of years. But we developed a friendship on the ball field, and right away I learned that, looking back, of course, hindsight, Joe was always able to keep me on my toes with my wits. And I can say there weren't really a lot of people that were able to do that growing up. And next thing we knew, we were hanging out all the time, spending the night at each other's houses. And ironically, in our spare time when we would hang out, we started making comedy tapes, literal cassette tapes in the house, in the basement, sometimes up in my room. And I mean, we would do bits. We would do sound effects. We would goof on each other. We'd goof on our friends. Sometimes they didn't know about it, but it ended up really being a lot of fun. And it ended up, ironically, or maybe not, again, being in front of a microphone. I don't know how many times I've done, live shows, events, and weddings, and bar mitzvahs, and dances, and things, emceeing matches and stuff. Being comfortable in front of a microphone, regardless of the amount of people that are out there, it's a gift. I don't know how many people that are scared to death of that. So long story short, we started making these comedy tapes, and right around the time that I started behaving like an idiot in high school, I really fell off from a few people, and Joe was one of those guys. Joe has turned around and has had a 25 plus year career in stand-up comedy. And the one thing that I'll freely admit that I'm ashamed of, I haven't seen him perform. I've seen him perform online, and I've seen and watched him from afar, and I have other friends that I've grown up with that have seen him perform, but I never have. And quite frankly, it bothers me. But I could sit here and again, there's a running theme with a lot of my guests. I could praise him all day long about the things that he's accomplished and things, but it's truly an honor to have a longtime friend. He's a very very successful and very outspoken and very unique individual, stand-up comedian. You name it, he's done. Television shows, I know he's done radio, podcasts, he's been on the Stern Show, he's done a little bit of everything. But most importantly, he's a guy that knows things about me that a lot of people don't, and it's an honor to have him on the show. Without further ado, Joe Howard.
Hi. That's very nice. I was never on the Stern Show though. I was on.
Well, I think you appeared on a few callers though. I mean, you called in a few times from what I remember.
Maybe.
Okay.
I was on the Anthony Cumia show once. Yeah, that's interesting. Yeah, the thing about the making those tapes. That's weird how I always kind of wanted to do, stand up and whatnot. It's interesting. But and also it's interesting that you were my first baseman and I was a shortstop and I caught everything, but I would throw it at your shins every time because I had a fucking rag arm.
Well,
and now I'm sitting here with
a
reconstructed shoulder, so my arm is extra shit now.
Well, to be fair, I got pretty good at catching the hot.
Digging out my
Yeah,
bullshit.
I got pretty good at that.
Yeah,
And,
for sure.
And we had success, and it was one of the things that, again, when you play baseball, there's a lot of downtime. There's a lot of sitting on the bench waiting to
Right.
bat. There's a lot of, if you switch pitchers, and the pitcher's got to warm up, and there's a lot of infield meetings, and the whole time, all we do is goof on people. Like the whole time. That's all we would do. We goofed on the whole team. We goof on the coach. We goof on each other, and then we go out and kick the shit out of people in the game. And
that was always my thing. And like even when and then after high school and stuff, I started skateboarding with a lot of people.
Well, you were skating in high school.
Of course.
To be fair.
Yes.
And well, here's the thing. All right. I'm just going to go ahead and blow Joe up here real quick.
No, I was weird.
Well,
Go ahead.
There were some things that, like when John Robb was on the show, we talked about going to the Guar show. Joe was there.
Yes.
When it comes to growing up in a little town of Wellington, there weren't a lot of outside of the box thinkers where we grew up. There weren't a lot of people that were, if it wasn't on the 4 TV channels that we had, if it wasn't on the 5 radio stations that people listened to, if it wasn't on this kid's t-shirt, they didn't want to have it. But Joe, I was telling this story just the other day. I vividly remember, this is just a quick example. It was the fall of '91. I was at a house party. It was right after a football game, and WMMS played Smells Like Teen Spirit. And the place went apeshit. Like, holy, what was, because I think they played Metallica maybe before that, and then they played Smells Like Teen Spirit. And I could remember the party almost stopping, and people were like, "Who's this?" And I said, "Oh yeah, that's Nirvana." And like, "What do you?" I said, "Yeah, I had the Nevermind tape in my car at that moment, and 6 months before that, I gotten the tape of the Bleach album, both copied from you."
Yeah.
So again, you were listening to the Bleach
I was
album
always
a year
into
before.
weird stuff.
Yeah. And there again, Misfits, the Milkmen, the Kennedys, I mean, you name it. You were the first guy that I knew that was into Pink Floyd, quite frankly. I remember that. So when it came to things that were a little bit different, and again, it's also, I think it's part of the things that made me gravitate towards you when we were young. Just, holy shit, this guy, he thinks like I do. He thinks to a degree. I mean, not exactly, but he really introduced me to a lot of bands and a lot of different pop culture. Ironically, ahead of the game on a lot of those.
Yeah.
You know, the Nirvana one's a good example, because I remember people were going apeshit and they're like, "Oh yeah, I got the tape in the car," and they didn't believe me. Like, "Oh yeah, Joe gave me that."
Yeah.
I don't know, months before that, but
I didn't fit in Wellington so much. So I was always skateboarding with people outside, and they all had these influences of all this different music and whatnot. I had an older cousin that introduced me to a lot of stuff.
yeah, I remember we were teenagers and you were going downtown Cleveland and Oberlin, and you were hanging out with, and to be fair, I had a little bit of that from time to time, but that was your MO every weekend, for sure. And there were people that that we grew up with that, Joe had the reputation of being weird.
Oh yeah.
And
I had a joke in my act for a long time that I said my nickname in high school was "Hey Faggot."
Okay, well, I think I remember hearing that, both in high school and in his act. Now, again, when we say the word faggot, back in the day,
that's what they called me. I mean, that's what it was.
Right.
Everyone thought I was gay and thought I was weird, and everyone thought it was strange, and it was super frustrating. And I just always was like, well, I'm gonna have to carve my own way here, and and honestly,
you did.
Yeah. I mean, I just did my own thing.
And to be fair, again, we are at the mercy of the elements here. There's
garbage man.
Yeah, the garbage man's
Yeah.
here. Well, we won't last very long, but that's the beauty of being able to record with the technology. I mean, you talk about making comedy tapes. We literally were cassette tapes in the in the house. And I still remember back in the day, Joe was actually the guy that showed me how if you put a piece of tape over the broken tab out of the tape, you can still record something on it.
Yeah, of course.
He had I think it was God, I want to say it was like a New Kids on the Block tape or something that you taped over it and put dead Kennedys or something in there.
That sounds like something I would do.
It was really funny, and you're the guy that told me about that. And it turns out it works for videotapes too. But there's a there was a real at that time, we're talking about late 80s, early 90s. Social media didn't exist as far as the way that it's defined today. But the thing that I'll give you credit for is you never seemed to give a shit. I mean, I know it bothered, but you were. It's almost like you would push back harder when people would give you shit or roll everything from rolling the eyes to whatever. You would push it even more.
I talked a lot of shit.
Well,
I mean, if it did bother me. I mean, you psychoanalyze yourself now, this day and age, and you're like, oh yeah, like that goofed me up a little bit. I don't know. It's strange. When you do stand up and stuff, you're like, God damn it, how much attention do I need? Like, what am I trying to? Why do I need this desperate need for fucking attention? And it's like, I don't know, man. I just like doing it, and I've always just wanted to. It's a challenge.
Well, there's a running theme with a lot of obviously clearly you understand the comedy world way more than I can ever. But even just being on the fringe, from what I understand, there are many comedians that come from traumatic,
right?
And tapping into that pain and that anger, it can be used as inspiration. To a degree, it like you just said, there's a way to, okay, you may have verbally or even physically kicked my ass before, but now I got a microphone.
Yeah.
I'm going to show you.
Yeah, and it feels like that sometimes. Like, am I just trying to, I'll show you. You know what I mean? But it's so dumb. But then you just get into it, and it just becomes this thing. And if something's funny, I write it down. And that's the only difference between me and anyone else. And then whenever I get a chance to do something on stage, I just do it. So, and I still, I was kind of a hobbyist. I mean, you can go ahead and say, I mean, I graduated from Wellington and I immediately started working at the Ford plant in Lorraine.
Yeah.
And I've been working there. I'm literally going to retire in about 3 years. So, but I've been doing stand up the whole time.
When you started there, was that because I know a lot of your family worked there?
Yeah.
Was that something that because I remember when you started there. Quite frankly, I remember when you started there because you were balling compared to the rest of us at that time, for sure. And that was
the money's too good. As soon as I got in there, I was like, well, this is it. Yeah, I mean, I'm just gonna do this.
I remember you saying that because I remember a conversation we had when we were in high school, and you were working at Drug Mart.
Oh yeah.
And you said, you know what? Quite frankly, I don't give a shit if I just have a job like this. It's I don't need to worry about it. Fuck it. I don't need to. There's really no. There's no stress. There's really no. And because I remember you were saying something about like, there were people that always kind of want to do and be more, but the conversation that you had with them was just like, fuck. If I end up just doing this, how bad could it be?
Working at Drug Mart?
Yeah.
I don't know. I was sort of in limbo because I went to JBS and I trained for law enforcement, and I thought maybe I'd be a cop or maybe I'd go in the service for a couple years and then try to be a law enforcement or police officer, which you just had Dan Sumter on, which I thought was a cool conversation with him, and
case in point, another guy that I was close with.
Right.
To be fair, I was close with Dan right after high school. I was cool with him in high school, but I learned some things about him and about the job for sure. And he was very forthcoming, and that was right after that interview that you reached out to me. Yeah. And that's when you said, I'll come on the show.
Yeah, because I listened to it, and I kind of, And I've also just been fascinated with what the hell you've been doing and what is going on. Because we know you've watched me online and I've watched you, and I'm like, I don't know what's going on with them.
Yeah.
And I don't know. I never had a falling out with you or anything. Like, I turned my back on all of Wellington and everything. Obviously. Obviously, that's what I did.
Yeah. Well, there was a few podcasts ago, I believe it was when Joe Bachmar was on Color It Reset, we talked about that. Like, look, there comes a time where if you turn your back on somebody or something or some whatever, that doesn't necessarily make you a bad person.
No.
There are times that, again, I'm of the opinion that it hits a point where either a relationship is working or it's not. And if it's not working, if you turn your back on, again, somebody or something, even the term "turn your back," it just sounds shitty. Maybe just break off.
I was just finding my own way.
Yeah.
And I never understood when I would see you online how you were always dazing it up about Wellington, because I was like, it was shit. I don't know what he's so happy about. I don't know. I didn't love it.
Well, if I didn't have an involvement in sports
with wrestling,
I probably
you were way into wrestling.
If it wasn't that, even today, I don't know how much I would really be around Wellington if it wasn't for the sport. Quite frankly, I wasn't planning on 4.5 years ago. I was living down in the islands, and I wasn't planning on being back here in the States.
And that's the other thing. Your shit is so weird. All the stuff you were doing. And like, I'm looking at you, and then I'm just like, this guy's talking about Wellington, but he's living in the islands, like selling diamonds? What the fuck is this guy doing?
Interesting.
I'm sure watching me is interesting too. You're like, this motherfucker is,
It's exactly the same thing.
In New York City doing stand-up?
Yeah.
What the hell?
I see pictures of, and I see pictures of you on TV shows with Florentine and stuff, and I'm like, are you shitting me? Like, it's surreal, but I'll say this right away. I am really, really proud of watching and seeing the stuff that you've done. I am. I'm proud of you for that. It may sound weird to say coming from me, but I am. I'm proud of you. Because, again, we sat in my bedroom making...
It is funny that I hadn't thought about the mixtapes until you brought it up just now.
Yeah, it was like that was...
that was something we did.
Yeah.
I always loved radio, and I always wanted to do it, and stand up. I don't. Well, I can tell you how. I don't want to take over the show.
No, please. No, I got all the time.
When I was skateboarding, so you talk about Wellington and everything, and then I was skateboarding with people. Now I've been working. I worked at Ford the whole time. I've been working at Ford this whole time. But listen, we have 4-day weekend. We have 4-day weeks. So weekends I'm free, and that's when you do stand up.
Sure.
So I mean, I've just always done both. And I've just always, I get up and go to work. That's just what I do.
I've even heard Florentine talk about that.
Yeah.
Not necessarily, he wouldn't say Ford, but he would say he's got a good job and he's this, and and it sounded like, almost like there was a little bit of envy.
There's comics there's comics that aren't envious, they're mad at me because I'm a hobbyist. Because I don't grind out on the road like, I got friends that are, I mean, man, you have to, and that's the problem with stand-up. The rate of feature acts, the rate of pay for feature acts hasn't changed in 25 years. They pay you like $100 a show. And you gotta travel, and most of the time you gotta pay your travel. Sometimes they don't fucking put you up, which is crazy.
You know what, it's like that in the DJ world.
Not anymore though, like it shouldn't be, because comedy is so big now. There's a boom. There's a huge boom because of podcasting and everything.
Right, because
that I missed the boat on.
It seems like, well, you're sitting on one.
Yeah, I know, I do as many as I can.
There's and again, being a guy on the fringe who listens to a lot of podcasts, listens to a lot of comedians, the feedback that I'm seeing and hearing is there's a huge upswing like it was in the late 80s.
It's huge. It's a huge boom.
It's awesome.
And I was doing it when there wasn't a boom, but stand-up was always there. But the fact that the clubs and stuff are not paying guys, it makes it impossible. Like, my friends that are full-time comics and aren't famous, like they struggle hard. And I'm sorry. I've been making good money since I was 18. I'm not stopping that. Right. I'm not gonna struggle. I'm not.
In the end, that's smart, and that's what I hadn't thought.
I mean, we'll see. When I retire, hopefully I have an act that's worth a fuck. Right now, my act is shit because of COVID and everything else. I haven't written anything. I
have you
can't.
Done any of these parking lot shows?
Yeah, I've done a lot of this stuff, and like, first of all, COVID, I ignore it. I treat it like it's not there. I don't give a shit about it. I've been doing any stand-up. Like, I know comics that are like, nope, I can't do anything.
They're running scared?
They're scared.
Yeah.
The LA and New York guys I know, terrified. And I'm just like, what is wrong with you guys? Like, there was a show in Lorraine that this guy Ramon was putting on. I did it immediately, and it was like, I mean, I don't know, 2 months into the pandemic. And I was like, hell yeah, I'm gonna go, let me do it. And I went and did it, and I did the Funny Stop. The Funny Stop was open before anyone else, and literally you go there, there'd be like 30 people there.
Wow.
And I went.
And normally a few hundred?
And yeah, and then Pete was like, well, what do you want me to pay you? And I said, man, just give me, and I did like 6 shows. I was like, just give me $100. I just wanted the stage time. You know, I just wanted to get up.
And again, that's the blessing that you have.
To get the rust off. Because everything, like, I do stand up as much as I possibly can, having a full-time job and everything.
Is there a real, I mean, you just mentioned, you know, getting the dust off. I know that in combat sports,
it's insane.
There's that, you know, ring time, cage time, ring rust.
It's insane.
I feel that's a real thing. So you feel that's the same?
It's insane. Sometimes I have to go and just do it so I can remember so I just know that I just know I can still do it.
Kind of like just getting reps.
Getting reps in. And sometimes I go up and I might have a new bit, and sometimes I don't. I just need to go up and do my act, some of the shit that I've been doing forever, just so I can remember the beats and just remember how it goes. Yeah. And I did a show Friday night at the Winchester, and it went great. And it was just, I went up there, no set list, no nothing. I did some of my old jokes, and then I just did some crowd work, and it's just so I know I can still do it. Because honestly, with this pandemic and all this shit that's been going on, like, you just haven't been getting the reps in that you need.
Well, hopefully
you need it a lot.
Leveling off, you know.
Yeah.
I hope, again, I say it every show, hopefully, you know, I did get vaccinated, but I will say this, you know, John Robb, he shared his experience, and he had it real bad. Other than getting the shots, I didn't really do anything different in my life at all. If I went into a building and it said masks on, okay, I put a mask on. I didn't want to be one of those guys that showed up in a video of just, you know.
I didn't, you know, blow up on anybody. I mean, working at Ford, we were off for 2 months, and I swear to God, the only reason we were off 2 months is because no one had masks. So Ford started making their own masks.
Yeah,
we have these things at work that are Ford masks. They say Ford on them, and you take as many as you want. They don't give a shit. They make their own. And that's, as soon as we came back, we all just started working, and we're not 6 feet apart. We're in 1,400 people in a huge building.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Like,
and it didn't run through the.
Dude, last summer, I had Avon Lake and Keystone High School. This was in June. We were at a gym in Elyria for a fucking wrestling camp. Now, we did check temperatures and stuff, but these are kids that are
and we did that at Ford too.
You know, we're rolling on top of each other. Nobody in the gym that's watching is wearing a mask. Sure as hell, nobody's 6 feet away. You can't. You have to grab somebody. So I didn't hear of one kid, one adult, including myself, that got sick.
How did it not run through that Ford plant?
I don't know. I don't have an answer for that. I don't. I am. No, I'm not going to be.
And I listened to St. Rogan, and I was taking all the vitamins because he was the only one talking about that shit, the vitamin D deficiency and that stuff, and that's interesting. I'm like, okay, well, I'll take vitamin D and all that. I never got sick.
Yeah.
I took a flu shot But
See,
man, I don't know about this vaccine, man.
I
I haven't done it, but you know, I
understand.
identify as vaccinated, so I walk into the store without a mask.
Well, you know what? Well, and again, the honor system.
I'm the worst.
But
I don't care though. It's hey, if I'm sick, I'll stay home.
sure. Well, yeah. And
Here's the
that's-
deal. I just went through a traumatic event. I'm not gonna get a shot and be sick for 2 days either. I don't want to be sick after the vaccine. I'm tired of this. I'm fucking. We should probably talk about why I look so fucking crazy.
Oh, yeah.
Do you want to?
Yeah.
I don't want to take over the show.
In case
but-
anybody's wondering, I was not demonstrating a Kimura before we came in.
No, yeah, he did not put me in an arm bar.
I didn't do any of that. He showed up here like this.
Yes.
So go ahead, share.
Okay. So, a big part of my life, I've always been a scooter enthusiast, as in Vespas.
Yeah.
You know,
In particular, I remember that.
Vespas.
Again, watching you from afar.
Yes.
Yeah, I remember seeing some of your posts. You're very specific. It
Yeah.
has to be a Vespa.
Vespas, old Vespas, and cool scooters. And I had a old gal there, and I would ride. I rode it to work every day, and well, there's a lot to talk about. I mean, the main thing is that in my sobriety, that's when I started to ride my scooter a ton. So I was always on 2 wheels instead of 4. So I was just St. Patrick's Day, I was riding to work like I did a million billion times, and this fucking guy did exactly what I've always feared would happen. And I'm on Lake Road, just banging down Lake Road, going to the Ford plant, and this guy just banged a left about 3 feet in front of me. And I dipped to the left. I almost got around him, Scott, so close to getting around him, maybe a foot. And he tapped my back wheel. I was doing about 30. So I skipped down Lake Road like a rock. You know, I just skipped, rolled, and broke 3 ribs, collapsed lung, tore my labrum, rotator cuff, and bicep tendon. So I had 7 screws put in my shoulder, and yeah, and it's really bad actually. Like they said, if it doesn't take, I have to get what's called a reverse shoulder surgery, and that's a Hail Mary. So
Sounds like a replacement.
it's just a Hail Mary surgery, and then I'm gonna have a terrible shoulder for the rest of my life. So it's really bad, and I don't know if I should.
Your dominant arm too, because you're right.
Yeah, I'm right-handed. I'm not as lucky as you being left-handed.
Well, I don't have that severe of a shoulder, but I do have. You know, I've been doing this dumb
Wrestling,
fighting stuff
wear and
forever.
tear. We're pushing 50. Let's not.
Yeah.
You know what the hell. But
how goes the mend and the healing process now?
well, everything, you know, it's fucking painful. Mornings are really bad. So like I got up super early so I could kind of get my Tylenol and my coffee and shit moving so I could be all right for you. Mornings are bad, but then the rest of the day, I mean, it hurts a lot. Sleeping in a recliner, it's a real bad surgery. Everyone talks about it and everything, and yeah, it's bad. And
Well,
I don't know. I don't want to say too much about it because you know I got my Jews on it. You know, taking care of the guy. I don't know. I you know, this has been a real hiccup, and also like in my recovery because I've been sober 3 years and I had to take Oxycontins and all that shit.
Yeah, some people.
So nerve-wracking.
Yeah,
terrible.
As a guy who's partied, and
Yes.
I like. There's certain things that I enjoy. What I do not enjoy is I'm not in any control at all.
No.
I don't like that. I don't like feeling like that. And I went almost 2 years without a drop of alcohol. And to be fair,
Yeah, I was gonna talk to you about that.
yeah, if I have in a year 10 drinks,
Yeah.
that's a lot for me now. If I have more than one in a night, that's very, very rare for me now.
Right.
Yeah, but and I look at it this way: everybody having their whatever motivation they have for getting sober, getting healthy, whatever you want to call it. I'll applaud that. The
You had dark times.
I did, and I look at it this way: when I look at any dumb mistake that I made, and I wasn't sober, because I made dumb mistakes and I was sober. But when I made dumb mistakes and I wasn't sober, every single time, there was booze.
Yeah.
Every time. It's not a coincidence that every single time when I would have too much to drink, I would just say fuck it and go off the rails. And the last 10 years or so, it's been, I don't know what it,
Again, watching you from afar, I knew you were having dark days.
Yeah.
Which is so funny because you think no one knows. I knew. And then I saw you change your body completely different. You've been coaching and whatnot. You got yourself in shape and got yourself together. And I was not sober at the time. I was in the middle of my dark days. And I was like, wow. And I thought about that. And I was like, that's interesting.
When you say dark days,
you had dark days.
It's not an exaggeration at all.
You did.
Yeah.
And I did too.
Yeah.
And I think
some you experienced with me when we were teenagers.
Yeah, we did some
in recent years.
Yeah, but I just I just went through a divorce and I did not handle it correctly at all. And I wanted to die, but I didn't want to be found or something. I don't know. I just decided, well, I'm just going to drink whiskey until I die. And it was strange, but I did it. And somehow I just pulled myself out of it. And I went to rehab. I went to Glen Bay. And that's the thing about working at Ford. I was terrified that something would happen, I would get fired or something. And then it's like, all you do is tell them you got a problem and they send you away and they just take care of you. They tell you you can stay in rehab 90 days if you want. No, I didn't want to do that. I did about 37 days. But I needed to detox. I needed to detox on everything. I was in such a state. And it was dark days. And I just had to pull out of it.
I obviously publicly I don't really talk about this very much, but privately, the way I describe it, really, truly, 100%, I didn't care.
Right.
What happened to me.
Me too.
And what scared the shit out of me was when I started feeling like I didn't care what happened to the people around me.
Mm-hmm.
And that, quite frankly, that fucking terrified me. It did, and it made me. It made me make a choice that I'm thankful for, that there were people there. But that would absolutely be my rock bottom, and that was 2010. And since then, it's been not perfect by any means, but it's been. I feel like, I mean, especially getting back into the gradual decline of yeah, there was a period in that last decade where there was 2 years I didn't have a drop, and it started out as it was never an intervention. Nobody ever pulled me aside. But when I
had one of those.
when I hit my, again, I was fortunate to have some people around me, literally around me. The feedback that I got from some people that are quote unquote supposed to be there and supposed to care post event, let's just say it wasn't good. It went from being as aggressive and negative as it could be to denial. no, Scott didn't do this. No, he's fine. It was very hard because I was nowhere near the area here. I was way out west at the time, and my friends that were there, they reached out to people to share what was going on, and
okay.
and it was that he's faking it, or he's.
Well, you're clearly uncomfortable talking about it. If you don't,
my whole body.
You don't have to. You don't have to.
I know, but the point.
But it's so obvious to someone like me looking on the outside.
Yeah.
That you were having dark times.
Yeah.
And then now it's different.
Dramatically.
Yeah. I run into people who don't recognize me.
Yeah, I believe that.
And don't
give you credit for having a full head of hair, even if it is white.
Yes, it's white as shit, but yes,
awesome.
I'm holding on to it.
Yeah,
it was funny watching you and Dan with your two bald heads.
Well, and then John comes in. So yeah,
he's bald too.
Well, you're not bald, but at least you're keeping up with the big beard.
Well, yeah,
you're keeping up with that theme.
I can't imagine shaving every day with one arm. So
yeah,
I usually shave in the summer, but not this year. But anyway, you got real uncomfortable with that.
Well, yeah, but you know what? Look,
people have tough times.
I don't. But my point is, I went through a lot of therapy.
I was gonna ask.
A lot.
Okay. I'm in the midst of it.
Have
been.
And there are people around me now that I have inspired to get through to start therapy, and the feedback that I get, especially initially, is "fuck this," but, and this is the reason why. You talk about getting reps. When you get reps on the mic, if you get reps on the wrestling mat, if you get reps in the gym, you get reps in the ring, whatever, it's all going to make you stronger. Guess what? When you're talking to your therapist, those are reps. Your brain is absolutely a muscle. And when you have somebody that's an expert out there that's going to help you tap into that, and really for me, it was being able to understand why I would behave some of the ways that I would behave, especially growing up and things. But it's absolutely draining sometimes. When I still talk to, I have people around me that I talk to from time still that I'm very thankful for. But at the time when I was fully immersed in it, it was exhausting to go through some of these sessions. And the people that I have around me now that I've inspired to go through some therapy, the feedback went from "this is bullshit" to "this is exhausting" to now they're starting to get some of those breakthroughs that you start realizing, and for me it was understanding why I would behave certain ways, and then most importantly recognizing it before it would turn into, especially again in the last 10 years, recognizing it before it would turn into a problem. So but in the thing about therapy, again, it's just like training. It's just like nutrition and health. It never stops. It's not like, okay, I'm healthy today and I wasn't healthy yesterday. It doesn't. The brain doesn't work like that. It has to constantly go through reps, for lack of a better term. So it absolutely brought me out of where I was. Perfect? No, I don't know of anything that is, but it was absolutely. I don't know if I would be here now if I wouldn't have had that. And it's there's I think a lot of it is with the generation before us, there's still a stigma of, if you're talking to a shrink, you're broken.
I don't know. I think it's a little more acceptable now.
Now it is, yeah. But when we grew up with that, there was always that kind of hell, we grew up with the Peanuts cartoon with the psychiatrist is in. It's like that we grew, and it was literally a cartoon.
Right.
It wasn't considered anything that was people that understood the process and understood real therapy.
But even like saying that I had to go to rehab and saying I'm an alcoholic, that's that runs in your family. That's a disease.
Yeah.
And you get through a traumatic event and you have a tough time and you just
turn to your pals.
You start to realize, I have to address this because this is not going to end good. Either something bad's going to happen, a car accident. Of course, I get sober and get hit by a car, but whatever.
Couldn't go any
but
other
something,
way.
but yeah,
You know what I mean?
of course. But it's just one more thing to get over. You know what I
Well,
mean?
Ironically, Sam Kinison
Yeah, exactly.
gets sober.
Dude, me and Don Jameson were hanging out the other night, and we were talking about Sam, and he told me about a night he hung out with Sam, and then we were like, what the fuck? And then we looked up, he was 35 when he got in that car accident and died. He was 35 years old.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
And he was
very
newly sober.
I know.
And
well,
well,
we'll see. Who knows? Those
how
sort of
sober
stories.
was he?
Yeah, those stories. But like,
I just watched something the other day where they talked about some of the details of that accident,
mm-hmm.
and apparently, the story that I heard, he seemed to be fine. Actually, pulled out of the car, was conscious,
was talking, and then just
laid down, and then started talking to nobody. Saying,
he was talking to Carl LeBove,
yeah,
who just died too.
Wow.
All these comics die. Everybody dies. All the comics die.
Wow.
They're all dead. There's so many. I know, but god damn it, every other week I'm hearing about some comic that died. I don't know. It's a rough lifestyle, man. It gets people.
Road,
yeah,
it's
tough.
You know, I had a little bit of taste of that, doing the traveling DJ stuff, and it, I don't know how anybody it can keep relationships together doing things like it's.
No,
I don't. I mean, professional athletes, same thing. I mean, if you marry somebody that's in the NBA, you know what you're getting into. I mean, come on.
Yeah.
You sacrifice that loyalty for a pretty comfortable life, for the most part. So there's that the grind and it's obviously clearly you know better than I do for sure. That's I don't know how anybody doing that, traveling on the road day in and day out and staying sober. I can't. That would be.
It's weird because with comedians, they're either wild and they're almost like canaries in the coal mine, like your Bert Kreischers, your Doug Stanhopes. You're like, what the fuck? And then it's either that or they're sober. Like even Attell had to hang it up. Like you have to hang it up. And I was just one of the guys. Right, yes, yeah. I'm the one. He had a health scare, and
he had that insomnia show where that's where he stays up all night.
All he did was drink.
Yeah,
and everyone wanted to drink with him. Yeah. I worked with him when he was
the episode where he's in Salt Lake. I had friends of mine that were at the house party that he was there.
Yeah, I have friends that were in the Cleveland episode, but I mean that I worked with him when he drank, and it was exhausting the way everyone wanted to drink with him. And then the other 2 times I worked with him, he was sober, and he's such an odd cat, and he just wouldn't hang. He would just go back to the hotel because he didn't drink anymore, and people would bother him so much to drink.
Well, Artie Lang, similar. I know you.
I worked with Artie, and Artie was sober at the time, and had a handler, and I've seen that too. And I worked with Greg Giraldo, and he was sober twice when I worked with him, and twice he was a mess. And it's just, and he had a handler.
So what do you?
It's crazy.
Do you prefer because you hear stories of some of these incredible artists, whether they're a musician or a comedian or an actor, they have to be loaded to perform sometimes. And then you look at some of the music. I guess you could say that. You can definitely say that about comedy as well. You look at some musicians and their best work. They were knee deep in just
most of the comics, even the ones that drink and stuff. It can be, I don't know. It doesn't, because they have to hold it together somewhat, or they would never be able to get up and come up with new material and do this. So they hold it together, and like nobody parties too much. It's just
Are you seeing the younger comedians? Are they
the
still
younger
doing the party?
comedians don't really do it.
Wow.
There's a lot of weed. There's a lot of weed culture, which I never ever got into. I was never a weed guy.
It's
I just liked
everywhere.
booze.
Weed is everywhere.
Everywhere.
I mean,
Everybody's high.
it's weird because when I got into jiu-jitsu,
Everyone's
I
weed.
never did everybody.
Weed.
I mean,
Yeah.
people that go over there, they hit the
Yeah.
pipe and then they go roll. Like,
I could never. I never
To be
liked
fair,
it.
that stigma in very reputable schools.
Oh, no, I knew
it goes
that.
away, but
I knew that.
There's going to be a lot of that. Yeah,
In the comedy scene now, you see
Mhm.
more weed
I've
than
seen it on
alcohol.
many
Alcohol's
podcasts.
very destructive.
It
I mean,
is.
alcohol really,
It is.
it's terrible for your body.
Well, it's straight poison,
And
that's
it just
why-
straight up
Yeah.
makes you, it's just reckless. Like, I was a reckless alcoholic, like, just wild.
Welcome to the club.
It was terrible. So did you do any program stuff, or I know you're not supposed to talk about it.
I did some, yeah.
Yeah.
There were a couple different things that I went through.
Program is such a sticky situation because the God thing is
The
so
religious thing,
huge.
yeah, it's
The
the
religious
religious
stuff
thing.
is so crazy.
That's and again,
And that's hard to wrap.
Yeah.
And that scares so many people away from getting sober.
yeah.
I think, personally.
Well, Stanhope famously went
Yeah.
off on Dr. Drew
Mhm.
about that, and that's
Now
actually-
they're friends.
Yeah. So go figure. But he had a great point when he said, "Why is it that nobody ever talks about that to actually get into the program?" And then turn
Yeah.
into you talk about your higher power and
Talk about Jesus.
right, yeah, and
Yeah.
get into specifics of that. That stuff that I kind of. It's not that I didn't turn my back on religion. I started seeing. Okay, I want to be clear on this. Where I shut down is when people use their religion as a weapon.
Right.
That's where I shut down.
Right.
Period. I don't give a damn. Pray to whoever you want to. If it brings you peace, great, awesome. But if you're trying to force that and then also some type of belief or rule on how people are supposed to live that goes with that, it's you go to the grocery store and you see the really religious person that's pointing at the kids that are wearing skimpy clothes and giving them a hard time. From that all the way up to burning books.
Mhm.
There's, again, where I shut down is that stay away from me.
I honestly, I've been so lucky. And sometimes I just think maybe that's not luck, maybe that's something else. But I don't give it much more credence than that.
Yeah, same here.
And I'm just like, maybe there's something else. Somebody's watching over me. I could have been killed on St. Patrick's Day.
Mhm.
I could have died a million times. I was in a car accident when I was 16 that I could have died in easily.
Well, yeah. and
Easily.
You're talking to the guy that was the urban surf king of our high school.
Yeah, we did a lot of dangerous shit.
Dumb, stupid
I could have
shit.
died a bunch of times.
Yeah.
And you gotta say, was that luck? Or was that, somebody watching out for me? And I don't know. And as far as program stuff goes, you gotta just take what you can. Because I tell you what, nothing makes me happier than listening to another alcoholic tell the same story that I have. And it just makes me feel like good. I'm not alone.
Yeah.
This happens to people. I'm one of them. And it's okay.
Mhm.
And you can get better. And you meet a lot of guys with 35 years sobriety. And their lives have been great. And I just want that.
Mhm.
And it's just, my sobriety is very important to me. I'm proud of what I've done. I came back from a bad place, and but as far as making amends to people, every time I try to make amends to somebody, they go, "Yeah, man, you went through a divorce and had a tough time, and you snapped. We get it.
Yeah.
Nobody's mad at me." So they're just happy that I'm doing well now, and I really am. I'll have 3 years sober. And
Says he's doing well. He's got the giant sling on his arms.
well, yeah, I did get hit by a car.
Right. but I'm making light of that.
Yeah, of
Yes,
course.
That's,
But tell you what, had I been drinking when this pandemic happened, or had this happened to me
and that's
while I was
part
drinking,
of the untold toll
mm-hmm,
that our society,
mm-hmm,
that whether it be people not wanting to go back to work or
I would have
who's trying
died.
to-
I would be dead.
Yeah,
There's
I
no
believe
doubt.
that. Oh, I sat home here for months.
Yeah.
The gyms were closed and I was just going batshit. I shouldn't say that. To be fair, I'm a creative guy, so I can occupy my time, sure. But that type of, and I've also, I never used the word conquer. I've been able to keep my demons at bay. That's the way that I feel about that. And so I didn't go down that road, but I could absolutely see how people easily could have.
Oh yeah.
You know, if anybody had a real addiction, an unhealthy addiction. I mean, we're still not 100% open as a country, and it's been 15, 16 months. It's if somebody had a real problem, of course you turn the volume up to 10 on that. There's no other way to look at it. So credit you for
there's no way I would have made it, because I was already at such a place where I would get to work, I was drinking at work, and like I was just so if there was nothing, I mean, it would have been crazy. I can't see, again, you talk about maybe someone was looking out for me. I don't know who that is, if that's God or what it is, but I'm confused about all of it. Yeah.
Sure.
But I almost said it, but I mean, just when you're talking about program stuff, like working a program and being sober and everything, you got to take from it what is good. And like, I have a 3 day a week. I have Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. I have a Zoom meeting that's all comedians. And
no kidding.
That
all in recovery?
LA, all in recovery.
That is awesome.
LA and New York.
Wow.
Of course, I can't name them, but
No,
there's some good ones in there. There's some good ones in there. And it's really
some familiar names.
Yeah, of course. And it's some really, really, and it's not heavy on the Jesus, you know.
Well, not with
and
that
it's
group.
just not with that group.
Yeah.
But sometimes it depends.
It's part of the
someone
process.
shares.
Yeah.
Someone shares, and they might talk about praying and whatnot, and that's okay. If you want to pray,
praying, if you call it meditating,
right, whatever.
Yeah.
A lot of comics do the meditating, which is the same almost.
Sure. For me, when I was basically educated on that, is how to control the breathing and about relaxation. Of course, I did get introduced to that to some of my therapy, but having gone through very high level combat training, that was also a lot of some of the coaches I had. Okay, we're going to beat the shit out of your body, so let's relax, let's recover. And again, if that means prayer to some people, okay. For me, there are times that I'll just I'll relax my body and I'll go to a place like that or think about things like that. And whether you call it God, for me, the word that I use is energy. There's a real energy. You know, yesterday I'm training with this kid, and he, you know, I'm holding the pad down, and he kind of misses the pad and literally kicks my ass. So I have a bruise now on my ass. So the idea that to recognize that energy doesn't exist, whether it be that all the way up to if you just go around mean mugging people, or if you just go around, you know what, just being a nice, decent person. The bottom line is, if you act like an asshole, people are going to be assholes to you. But the problem is, a lot of people do that and they can't figure out why, or they're just mad at everybody else. Why are you being an asshole with me? They can't recognize how they're behaving. But flip side, if you're a good person, flaws, sure, but if you behave as a good person and give a shit about, you know, just little things, just being even if you just want to sit at home and just don't piss with people, you know, just if you can just do that, then for the most part, you should have at least again, not anything perfect, but at least a pretty steady, comfortable life. Getting back to, I'm working at Drug Mart or whatever, you know what I mean? You can keep that level of normalcy, I guess. But there are times, like when Dan was here and we talked about when Jason Harper was sick. I mean, you talk about just the stereotypical all-American boy who did everything right, everything how you're supposed to do it, and he gets dealt that.
Yeah.
And I talked about when Dan was here, and at the same time, I remember trying to, I'm 23, almost 24, trying to wrap my head around this, like, how the fuck is Saddam Hussein walking around, but, my friend over here is sick.
Yeah.
So, looking for an even justification when I start talking about, higher powers and things, I think the problem is a lot of people look at it to literally. And I think that if you look at the overall body of work or body of somebody's life, there's a balance there. If somebody is a shitty person, they get the kind of, for the most part, what's coming to them in the end. You could even say something about it like Epstein. You know, say what you want. That guy lived his life exactly the way he wanted to up until like the last year of it. You know, and it not taking what he did was wrong and horrific and sick and all that. But something tells me the last couple minutes of his life weren't a lot of fun. So is that balance? Is that justification for what he did to kids? I don't know, but I don't want people that are good people to go out like that, you know. So there's always going to be somewhat of a balance, as I'm getting at. There's always going to be somewhat of an energy. So to take things step by step and say, okay, I had a shitty day today. There's no God, and then tomorrow you win the lottery. Okay, there is a God. You can't. There's always got to be
no. I always keep it there. I always keep it there. It's just like. I know what I'm doing now is working out a lot better for me than what I was doing before. Good. I was horrifically in debt. I was just barely hanging on. Physically, I was a mess. I was 230. I was.
Wow, really?
Oh, dude, there's a picture of me on stage at the Stress Factory with Bert Kreischer, and I have my shirt off, and I'm fatter than Bert. It's crazy.
Wow.
Crazy. And
I never knew. Well,
I was out of control.
Yeah, I got to about 205, 210 when I was at my heaviest. But God, 230.
Yeah.
I have heavyweights that don't weigh that.
Now I'm on ketos. Fuck you. No, I don't. I don't know. I am on keto, but
well, it's good. Yeah.
I have to be because I can't lift or do anything. I was in great shape, man. I did 20 pull-ups the morning I got hit. I was doing great. Yeah. I was really cutting up and looking good, and man, I got dealt a shit blow.
You can get back there.
Yeah.
It's not impossible.
Honestly, the health thing. Once I stopped drinking, my liver started working, and
funny how it works
shit,
that way.
Dude.
Yeah.
I leaned out, and I just got.
For me,
it was way better.
When I see people that get away from the booze.
You see it.
I'll see it in their face.
You see it immediately in the face. Immediately. Yeah, I had a huge double chin. Yeah. I was always growing a beard to cover it up. Man. Now I actually have a jawline. But it's crazy. I do, but it's all under here because I just haven't. Like I said, if I had to shave every day, I'd kill myself. It'd be terrible. I can't do anything right now. I can't button my pants. I had to go to my neighbor's house to get my pants buttoned the other day.
So time to start getting into some, well, you wear pants.
He didn't do it from behind. He did it from the front. It wasn't. By the way, I haven't been funny at all on this. Am I supposed to be?
It doesn't matter. You can be funny if you want. It doesn't matter to me.
I don't know.
Well, again, like when you walked in, like I don't like having a.
Yeah, there you go.
I don't like having a. I mean, obviously, when Sumter came in. There was before he came in, we had a bit of a. Come on.
Go ahead.
There we go.
There you go.
We very briefly touched on what we were going to talk about, because he saw that I had the show, and Sumter, especially being on social media, to use his words. He was tired of people posting their opinions about policemen, and he would try to comment and things. And he just
I thought, as soon as I saw that, I was like, well, this will be interesting.
Yeah.
And I follow Dan too. Yeah. I watch everyone from afar.
Yeah.
And I knew Dan was a police officer. Mm-hmm. I knew all that. And I was like, it'd be interesting to hear. And then I said, well, and you asked me to be on, and I was like, I won't have anything as interesting as Dan did. But
I don't know about that.
I don't know. I mean, I got stories. It's weird when I was dating and like I would meet a new girl and like I forget because of my drinking and because of just my dumbness. We'd be watching TV and I'd be like, oh yeah, I know that guy. What?
It's weird.
It's weird that I have this crazy life.
Yeah.
That I've done a lot of crazy shit.
And
And I really have, and I forget about it.
And this is why, again, I love watching your life from afar.
I'm sure.
Because there's a lot of, even though not the exact, there's a lot of parallels that I've done things that people are like, what?
Yeah.
You did what? And I never. I think Rogan kind of put it best when he's like, yeah, try to imagine your life's a video game, you know, and you're first person. And I kind of run my life like that. Interesting, you know, the watching somebody from afar and experiencing things. It's just, you know, example, like every now and then somebody will send me a message like, hey, I saw you on How I Met Your Mother, you know, in the story about how I was on that show and things. It's
sorry,
you know,
taking off my ice pack.
It's a oh, and by the way, complete bit of a side note. Another thing that you have in common with Dan, even though you weren't a police officer, you obviously had some really unique experiences. One thing that you and Dan have in common, I was also there standing next to you the night that you met your wife, now ex-wife. But
yes.
I was there we were at the fairgrounds.
Yes, yes.
And that was, you know, when I was preparing for the show here, there's one thing, I was with Dan that night in the flats when he met his wife.
Yeah, that was interesting.
And it was I remember, because you were talking to her and somebody else, her friend was trying to interrupt her, and she turned to her friend and said, excuse me, I'm talking to Joe Howard. And I remember when we walked away, you took away from that like, wow, she was into me. So it was a cool little piece of useless trivia for people out there.
Yes, of course.
That was a you know, thinking like, holy shit, that's right. Yeah. So it was you know,
and honestly, we are I wouldn't say we're great friends, but we get along as great as we can. You know, I have a 10-year-old daughter, and we co-parent, and that's about all I need to say about all that. I think it's okay.
Well, that's good.
You know, I think it's as good as believe me, I know a lot of guys at the Ford plant that have had gnarly divorces, and mine wasn't as gnarly as most people's. I just, I don't know. My alcoholism just got the best of me, and I didn't handle it well at all. But
well, all the more reason to be proud of where you are now.
I'm so proud of where I am now.
Good.
And I've been you know, it takes some work, but it's not overwhelming anymore. Everything is much better. And had I kept going, it would have been all bad. So I had to stop, and it's okay. And I have a new girlfriend now. She's much younger. I'm very much a cliche. I'm divorced with a young girlfriend. And you know what? I'm cool with it. I like it.
Well,
I'm very happy.
Do you have a Corvette yet?
No.
Okay.
I have a beat up old Jeep.
Okay.
And my scooter was destroyed.
You become that guy when you buy the Corvette.
Yeah, I don't think I'll ever do that. I'm excited about getting a new bike. You know, and everyone around me is horrified and doesn't want me to. But
just like the guy that gets bit by the shark and goes back surfing.
No one wants me to get a new bike.
Sure.
But I already put a down payment down.
Well, when you look at it this way, statistically, you know what I mean?
I got it out of the way.
Right.
That's what I'm saying.
The best time to go out and surf in the shark-infested waters.
That fucking wreck was exactly the wreck that I envisioned me having the entire time. Because every time you get on, you're worried about other people. And what that guy did is exactly what I knew. If I ever got in a wreck, that's what it would be. And that's what it was. And I made it.
Was that the last big accident you were in since the one in high school?
Yeah.
The story of the wreck in high school is one that I like to share, and the reason
it's
why
pretty crazy. If we're gonna talk about Wellington shit, I'm gonna put a dip in.
Go right ahead, man.
How funny is that? I do a Wellington dip.
Well, I saw you had your spit cup.
You know, I can't do this with my left hand.
Well,
you realize I didn't think this through. I don't know if I can put a dip in. Without my right hand.
I don't know.
Let me try. If we're gonna talk about Wellington shit, I'm gonna put a dip in. I'm probably gonna get it on your chair.
That's fine.
Oh God, I haven't done this in a long time.
The comfy chair.
Yeah, this is a comfy chair.
You need me to hold that?
Yeah, there we go. Here, you want to pull my lip out?
No.
Oh.
No, I do not want to do it. All right. So now
I did it.
There we go.
Boy, that's Wellington as fuck, isn't it?
Oh shit. Right?
I dip sometimes.
When we were in high school, Joe and I were We were members of the first DJ group that I was ever in. We were called the Noise Boys, and it was actually his idea to change the spelling on it to a Z. I remember that because we were coming up.
Well, that's embarrassing.
Well, I was drunk. Well, we were being creative
Go ahead.
at the time. We were 13.
Go ahead.
I'll let that slide.
Mm-hmm.
And then, of course, you hit the age where you start giving everybody nicknames and stuff. And I was the guy that gave Joe his nickname, SPAZ. And to be fair, he earned that nickname. Now,
I wasn't that crazy.
No, but you would, there were times, which is what kind of made it work, because you would have, I spent so much time around you, I would see those rare moments when you would kind of flip for a second or two, but it was very rare. And for the most part, you were just kind of going about your day, sarcastic as hell for sure, but you were never the guy that was knocking over desks and stuff at school, which is what made it even funnier. And we actually had there was a time when we were in school and we were trying to raise money for our DJ group. We were going to rent some gear, and we started the Save SPAZ campaign, where we go around with a can and a picture of Joe's face on it and just start collecting change from people at school. You don't remember that?
That seems crazy.
Oh,
no,
I remember that vividly.
Wow.
And
why would anyone?
well, we ended up raising like $30 or $40 from that, and we were able to rent a stereo or something. I remember this vividly, but when we were, so we were all part of this DJ group, and we spent a lot of time together. And in the summer of 1990, we were getting ready to go into our junior year. That whole summer, I was with Joe, and there was there was you and Paul Dean and Wade and Jamie and Lenny, right?
Yeah.
G5.
Yeah.
And with the exception of Wade and Paul, you and Lenny and Jamie, I was around you guys pretty much every weekend. And that particular weekend, I had gone, we went to a family reunion, and so I was gone.
You would have been there.
I would have been there.
Yeah.
For sure. And I came back, and it was a Sunday night, and I called my high school girlfriend at the time, Nikki, and the first thing she said to me, she says, "Did you hear about the accident?" The hell are you talking about? Because again, this is before social media. There was no text message. There was none of that. And I believe I called your house, and no answer. And then I got a hold of somebody, and they told me where it was, Oberlin, where Fantine was at, and you were there as well. And I drove right out there. But if you guys saw this car, the picture of the car from the wreck, to know that 5 people survived that.
It flipped end over end.
You guys they were on Route 162. If you get those of you with your Google Earth, jump on that and you'll be able to see it. It's south of Wellington, Ohio, Route 162. In between Route 58 and Route 511. You guys are out in there. It's winding, hilly country roads. And for the most part, we have some hills here, but we're pretty flat. That particular area is very curvy. It's like you drive out there for a thrill, and they absolutely were. Paul was driving, I believe.
I was in the car with Paul one time, and that was it. I don't know why. I don't know. And he was driving crazy, and we were looking for some party where there was girls or something crazy, and I didn't know where we were, and he was driving crazy, and I put my seatbelt on, and Lenny actually said to me, he goes, "I don't know why you're doing that. If we wreck, I mean, that's it." And I'm like, what the fuck are we doing? And then we wrecked almost immediately right after that. And
because he was going 100 miles an hour,
and he jumped we were jumping hills. He jumped a hill, and I was like, it's just something, I don't know, man. It's just something you don't, I don't know why it happened or what was going on, and then it happened, and I was just like, holy shit. And I cut my back. I got a nice big scar on my back.
Well, the way you described it to me, it was as if somebody took a spoon and kind of dug out of your back.
I think it happened when I crawled out of the car, because the car was upside down.
Yeah.
And my window was there was like almost a point. And I think I slid out, and I think I cut myself getting out. And it's a scar about that big on my back. Yeah. And I guess you could see my spine, which is fun. And then I got life flighted to Cleveland. But I just got stitches, and that was it.
Yeah, well, the fact that your spine was exposed, I remember you saying that.
It was deep.
The idea that you were able to walk at all. I mean, you could have...
I got an X-ray recently, and the guy goes, "What is this mark?" There's a scratch on one of my vertebrae. It's so crazy.
Wow.
Yeah, and I've had no issues with it.
Yeah.
I've never had back problems. Nothing.
I think you were injured really bad. Fantine was beat up pretty.
He had a
bad,
dislocated
too.
hip.
Yeah.
He had a hematoma on his head.
Yeah.
Wade had some internal injuries, as bruising. No one really got hurt. I mean, we were banged up.
Yeah. It was Lenny and Paul's mom's car that you guys were in. It was a white Ford Taurus wagon.
Yeah.
And again, if you saw what that car looked like, the idea that anybody survived that, let alone 5 people, and like you said, for the most part, unaffected for the most part today.
Yeah, we all just walked it off.
Yeah.
And that's and pretty funny on this wreck with my shoulder. The broken ribs and the collapsed lung, the doctors were super worried about, and they kept me. And I was in the ICU, and they kept me overnight. And I also road rashed my head pretty good. I did not have a helmet on, and they were worried about that. And I was like, my shoulder and my ribs are fucked. As soon as I got hit, I thought I said that, and then they didn't really look at my shoulder, but the ribs and the lungs. And then I got out, and then I was like, okay. And then I started to go. I went back to work for 2 days, and I was like, you know what? I remembered the accident on 162. I was like, we were all really sore for weeks.
Yeah.
And I was like, I just got hit by a car.
You were walking with a cane for at least a couple of weeks.
And I was like, I was just sore. And I was like, from getting a wreck, I was like, you're sore. So I was like, I got hit by a car. I rolled down Lake Road. I was like, I'm sore. That's all. And I just went back to work. And then, I couldn't wash my hair. I couldn't lift my arm like this. And I'm like, I don't know. That's shoulder. I don't know.
Plus, like you said, man, we're looking at half a century. Your body just can't recover.
Of course, I'm 47 years old. I got
16.
I got slammed to the ground.
When you're 16, you can bounce off of buildings and stuff and be fine, but not.
But no. So then I went to the doctor, and he's like, yeah, you tore your rotator cuff, obviously. Wow. And then he got in there. It was way worse. So,
Well, that was the.
I've been in a lot of scrapes.
Well, it was a very. Surreal for me. And again, the thing that I take away from that experience is, what difference would have been if there would have been 6 people in that car instead of 5?
I think about that too.
I don't know.
Because we would have crammed you.
No one
was being safe that night.
No.
We weren't drinking though, which that's crazy.
Well, you're trying to get to the party where the booze and the girls
I think so.
From what I remember about the story, that seems about right.
And I don't know the girls. I don't know.
Well, if it was in that area, it might have been a Black River party.
It was something.
Because, and like Dan and I were talking about, we were during those days, if you were going to
I was just along for the ride.
Right, even though Black River's 5 miles from Wellington or 10 miles from Wellington, if you dated a girl from Black River, that was a big deal back in the day. So the idea of, there's the Firelands girls are over here, or the Black River girls are over here, or the I remember the Illyria Catholic girls were over here, and which again, certain stereotypes. We would go. We're teenage boys. We're gonna go chase the teenage girls, of course. But I said it a million times. Could you imagine being 15 but having a phone on your hip that could do some of the shit that
I can't imagine. It's wild.
I'm coaching these kids, and I'm like, look. I mean, you talked about being in high school, how they were unaccepted is a good way to put it. But to be fair, you didn't give a shit. You were going to do your own thing, and you were saying a little bit before that of course it's going to bother you. Could you imagine if there were the fuck Joe page that came out that that somebody would if we were growing up in that, if somebody decided hell, even if it was the anti-noise boys page or something.
I'm old as shit, and the hate online that I get sometimes is crazy.
Yeah.
And there's certain lunatics who live online, and they I've got people that fucking hate my guts. and like say crazy shit. And I couldn't imagine dealing with that at such a young age.
Right.
Now it's like, what am I? What am I gonna do? Fight somebody?
Right.
What are we gonna get into a fist fight? Like, come on, get the fuck out of here. I know you're into training and all that, but that's like organized. But I'm just talking about people like, when I see you, I'm gonna knock you out. Well, okay, that's what we're gonna do.
Here's the interesting thing. Even though I'm around people that's what we do is knock people out.
Right.
Those people, you'd be surprised how you train your body to be as physically tough as you can, and how fragile the egos are of fighters. Oh yeah. How easily they get their feelings hurt.
Comics are the most sensitive cunts in the world.
Right.
In the world.
Right. I
say one shitty thing, and it's like most of the time you're just joking.
Yeah. And to be fair, again, to give Joe Rogan another shout, I think he put it best when he said the internet is a giant glass house and everybody has a rock.
Yeah.
And to read, it's the cool thing about technology is, again, we can do shit like we're doing now, and we can reach out and be all the way around the world, stay in touch. The bad thing is it gives idiots a forum.
And I don't live on there. I just and my whole thing is I only have Facebook and all that shit so I can promote gigs. Come see me.
Yeah.
By the way, I think you did come see me one time.
I didn't.
You promise?
I promise.
Who fucking told me? Someone told me they saw you at a show of mine.
No. I wish I
can't remember for the life of me where it was.
I wish I could say I have, but I haven't. No.
You know, Jim Baraducci came and saw me in Atlanta.
I remember you telling me that Jim saw you. I know Jenny Sheets has seen you.
Yeah.
She saw you
the
in
Improv.
Yeah. So
the Improv is interesting. I had a week there right after my surgery, and it got canceled. Tony Rock, Chris Rock's brother, he came to town and he was like, I just want a 2-man show. I was already booked, but then I was like, you know what, good, because I had just gotten this done. Yeah. Like, what was that, 3 weeks ago? I think I'm like 3 weeks off this surgery. But
well, I'm just lucky you had that done, because then you got all the free time to come in and do the show here.
Oh yeah, I just I literally have a straight up summer where I don't have to go in the Ford plant, which is nice because I've done enough of those hot ass summers. I went Sunday. Yeah,
that's another thing too. Like, again, to bring things full circle, we really met on the ball field. And one thing that Joe and I, you talk about being ahead of the curve. Again, I'll give him credit. We were both Indians fans, but Joe's a super fan and has been from day one. This is a guy that's forgotten more about that team than I'll probably ever know. But we would go to the old Cleveland Stadium and I still vividly, one thing that I remember, a quote from Joe Howard that stands true to this day. We're at the old Cleveland Stadium. There was a doubleheader. We saw them play the A's, but Canseco and McGuire were there.
Yep.
We lost both games.
Badly.
Bad. But Joe made a comment about you can't beat stadium music. Like the selection that they play, it's just, you have such a limit. And of course, I can dissect the psychology of it now. When you've only got 2 minutes in between whatever's going to happen.
Now it's a little ridiculous, but
at the time, it was like every song they played.
Municipal was so great.
Yeah, I loved it. Yeah, loved it too. Yeah.
But yeah, I went to the game on Sunday, and man, I was out there, boy, wearing this sling in that sun was a bitch, man. Holy shit, we were getting baked. Me and my girlfriend's so freaking red. We were getting baked, but it was so fun, man. We had such a great time. No, not that kind of bake, believe me. No, I was drinking, what they have, non-alcoholic Sharps.
They have Sharps there, or Old Duels?
Or Sharps. Yeah, which isn't great, but...
But it's... Well, here's, again, the beauty is,
and that's the thing with program stuff, they don't want you drinking those.
Yeah.
But I'm like, you know what, man? Come on. I drink coffee.
Yeah, again, some programs, like the idea is
well, now the Heinekens have 0 alcohol.
Yeah,
you can have those. They taste like a beer. I just like the taste of beer. So
especially when you're sitting at a ball game, if there's not if you're sitting outside at a ball game.
Oh my God, you can't sit there and just drink water. It just
soda
feels
or-
wrong.
Yeah,
It just feels wrong.
I'll hardly ever drink beer, but if I go to a ball game, I'm gonna have a beer.
Yeah.
I'm gonna have a beer and a dog because that's just
I'll drink a fake one. That's fine.
Well, fake or not.
Mm.
But again, the beauty is you still get to have the experience without,
Right.
the possible negative results. So and again, it gets back into the energy and the balance and things, because you're able to dip your toe into, hey, this is normalcy, or what you used to accept as normalcy, but you can still be, sober and safe and effective and functional.
So much better because
Yeah.
I was there and I remember everything, and I just sat there and watched the game, and man, I remember leaving games fucked up, don't remember shit,
Mhm.
wasted all that money, so silly. And I did that for years, and now it's so nice to it's so nice that I'm present, and even going to comedy shows now, it's the night doesn't get away from me.
Yeah.
And then I don't wake up the next day going, holy shit, what did I do?
What happened?
And there was a lot of
Start
those.
scrolling through your phone.
Oh my God, there was
Yeah.
so many of those, and
Yeah.
oh my God,
Those are the worst.
when you get go ahead, I'll let you get that. When you get
Nothing
sober,
but state of the art.
yeah, when you get sober, and then everyone sees that you're doing good, and everyone's like, oh, and then you have to make amends and kind of say, hey man, sorry about that. And then my friends always go, oh, this one time, and then they tell you the story, you have no recollection of it.
Yeah.
The one that got me, my friend Ryan Dalton, who lives in LA now, he I went out to LA and I was doing I was in such a run. I was so drunk. I'd been to Vegas, and then I went to LA, and he took me to the Comedy Store, and Sam Tripoli was there, and Sam Tripoli got me on stage at the Original Room.
Wow.
And I was so drunk and I didn't even realize what a big deal it was.
Well, that's what the booze did.
And when I came back, everyone was like, you went on at the Original Room? And I was like, yeah. And I just did 5 minutes. Wasn't a big deal.
Well, says you.
It says me.
Right.
But I went up and I did it. It didn't feel special. And I wasn't so drunk I did bad. I did fine. I did not bomb at all. I did good. I have the recording on my phone, but that happened. And then when I left, my friend Ryan said, he told his wife, that's probably the last time I'm going to see Joe. He really,
Wow.
he saw how I was drinking.
Mm-hmm.
He saw how I was, and he was like, that's probably the last time we're going to see him. And then he came to Cleveland to do Hilarities. He was opening for Steve-O. And I was inspired that Steve-O got sober. And I had
sober
been
many years.
yeah,
now.
and I desperately wanted to get sober, but I didn't know how. And I was worried about Ford for some reason, my work, which is so stupid because they couldn't have been cooler about it. They have programs in place to help people. And he came to open for Steve-O, and this is the story he told me, and I have zero recollection of it. Zero. I can't even really tell the story because I don't know it. But he basically said, I was hanging out with him, drinking whiskey, and I just walked back into the green room, sat down with a sober Steve-O, and just bothered him. Which, knowing green room etiquette and knowing that I did that, horrifies me. To this day, I can't even. And I just pray someday I run into Steve-O and I get to tell him I'm sorry and that he was an inspiration for me getting sober, because if that guy could come back. And at the time I did that, I was thinking that. But I was too sick to not stop myself from going back there and embarrassing myself. And probably upsetting Hilarity's management and everything for doing that. Such a reckless, stupid thing to do. Because I know green room etiquette. I've been in green rooms, and you don't want some drunk fucking guy coming back.
Yeah.
He didn't know me. And it was insane that I thought that behavior was okay. And I have no recollection of any of it. And when he told me that on the phone the other day, I mean, I cried. I couldn't believe how I was. And that was at the end. And that was when I was circling the drain for sure. And I don't know, man. I don't know, but
You're here now.
I guess.
And that's what matters.
I guess I pulled it back. And it's
Well, there's no guess. You did.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
You know,
But
put your chin up, man. Seriously.
yeah, that kind of
That's
stuff,
great.
man, that's such an upsetting thing to hear.
Sure.
When you can't believe you did it.
Yeah.
And you're just like, wow. That's just, I hope someday to say I'm sorry to him for that. And I probably will. That's the weird thing about me, like, to say something like that, like, oh, I'll see Steve-O someday and I'll apologize to him.
Maybe he'll hear this.
But no, but I will. I know I will at some point. Because
I hope so.
I just I don't know, I've manifested a lot of things. And I've met a lot of my heroes and worked with them, and a lot of really, really cool relationships. And it's just a journey, you know? It's life, and everybody has struggles and things. And I'm really excited about the future, and you know, I'm gonna be retired soon, and like I said, I don't know, as far as doing stand-up goes, I don't know. It's such a hard thing, but I enjoy
It's
it,
passion.
and I'm glad I got to do it.
Yeah, it's passion. Love it. Again,
Yeah.
we were 11 years old, 12 years old, making comedy tapes.
So interesting. I hadn't even thought of that
Yeah.
until we sat down.
I mean, the idea that and we just did it, not, hey, we're gonna, one of us or both of us are gonna have a career in comedy. It was fun, and we enjoyed it. And the idea that you still have that passion is, again, as an adult, when I meet people that say, oh, I used to whatever, and then I don't anymore, without that passion, it would be hard to get through certain things, you know, whether it be my art or training or whatever. If I didn't have that, it would be very empty. So credit you for again coming out the other end. And like you said, to bring things full circle, and we'll kind of wrap it up here. It is a journey, and you have a journey, I have a journey. Part of that we meet up, part of it we don't. Here we are meeting up again, and again, I couldn't be any more proud of you for not only what you've accomplished with a mic in your hand, but what you've accomplished as a person. And it's you know, when you said you wanted to come in and do the show, I didn't know what to expect, other than obviously we could sit here and tell stories all day long. But
Well, I just thought, you know, this is part of like my therapy and my recovery is you know, talking about the past and thinking about things and just talking to people and being uncomfortable sometimes.
sure,
Because when you're not numb from alcohol and things, then you do get uncomfortable a lot more. I mean, it's uncomfortable to do stand-up in front of a bunch of drunks when you're sober, and I always was on stage with a beer in my hand and or whiskey or whatever, and it was strange to change it and just be that way. But I tell you this, I'm funnier, I'm better. I haven't been funny at all on this, but
no, that's not
I'm
true.
funnier and better than when I was boozing.
What do you have coming up?
Well, that's hilarious. I don't have anything to plug.
Okay.
I just did the Winchester on Friday, which is just a cool. I'm just around. I don't promote. I don't network. I don't do a ton of stuff. I just get gigs when I get them. Hopefully things are opening back up. Hilarities. Hopefully I can get a week there. I did some stuff there during the pandemic. I opened for Sam Tripoli and Steve Byrne, and I've opened for a lot of guys. Hilarities. The Improv has basically went to an urban room now, and I'm probably the only white guy they ever hire.
Wow.
Which is terrifying and hilarious. If you ever get a chance, if you ever hear that I'm at the Improv, come see it. It's either going to be a train wreck or it's going to be, you'll think I'm the most amazing thing ever, but it never makes sense.
Keep in touch and let me know anything I can do to.
I just promote stuff on my Facebook and on my Twitter and everything.
Again,
Ghetto Joe Howard on Instagram, and
nice.
that's pretty boring because I'm just a sober guy with my cats and my girlfriend and whatever, and there's not too much going on there.
Well, I'll tell you what, I can't thank you enough for coming on.
No problem.
Again, it's been awesome to catch back up.
Just interesting.
And hopefully we'll be able to do this again sometime. So again,
Sure.
Anybody out there at home, Joe Howard, check him out. Check out his comedy. You can find him online. And anything I can do to help promote, man, let me know. I'd love to have
all my YouTube stuff is old. I need to get some new stuff up, but I've been doing the Hilarities has a new setup where they got cameras now and everything. So
Cool.
hopefully I get a week there and I can get some new clips up with some new material and some new things. So
Awesome.
hopefully.
Well, again, thanks for coming on. Everybody out there, keep in touch or keep an eye and an ear out there. We got plenty of great guests coming up with lots of fun to be had. And we'll see you soon. Take care. Love you guys.